Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband to have access to my inheritance? My mother passed away last year. The entire process is about to come to an end in just a few weeks. And for the past 6 months, my husband has been looking at a multitude of things that on a regular day we definitely can't afford. He'd have to use credit or save up for weeks or months. A person can wish for stuff or want to work towards a treat for themselves, but he hasn't made an effort to save up for these expensive purchases. Instead, he's been asking for updates on the legal process and asking how much longer it's going to take. He's even asked me several times about an estimated amount. I've given him very little to no information because at this time, things can still drastically change, with a creditor popping up and saying that money is owed or whatnot. He's not the most responsible person with money. I've managed the finances full-time for the past 3 years straight. He used to manage our finances, but he has a history of sabotaging our financial goals and blowing our budgets. My intention is to use half of my inheritance to move our family into a house, then save 40% to help my children in the future, like graduations, college, trips, their first cars, etc., and have a small emergency fund, something we couldn't do before because my husband kept giving money to his side of the family to help them with bills, groceries, legal troubles, etc., draining our accounts and leading our family to homelessness 3 separate times. I understand that if it's family, you have to try and help somehow. But letting your 3 children and wife become homeless because an adult family member couldn't be responsible enough to pay their own bills or got into legal trouble is a hard thing for me to fully understand. I really don't want to wake up one day and find out that every cent has been spent behind my back. I'd like to open an account in my name and follow through with the plan I mentioned above. He has made it clear that he intends to buy a new vehicle, tech, game system, and other items just for him, not our children, or to improve our family's future. When I talk about investing or saving, he says that life is too short for that. I told him that it wasn't about us, it was about our children. And his response was that when our children become adults, they should work for what they want. That statement seems backwards considering his actions of late. I know for sure that if his parents pass, we will have to pay off their debts and cover all of the unknown costs out of pocket. Financially speaking, started my marriage with my husband completely debt-free, and I have worked for years to finally get him to be debt-free as well. But over the past 10 years, he's paid off his parents' credit card and IRS debts. They live paycheck to paycheck and think saving money is pointless. I'm not sure if I'm making the right choice, but I really just want my children to have the same happy and stress-free childhood I had. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Inheritance isn't marital property, but you need to be straight up with him and tell him he isn't going to have access to it. You're gonna have to have enough spine to put your foot down. If he doesn't like it, let him leave, because it doesn't sound like he's contributing anything. I would also add that you should look at a financial planner/advisor to ask questions and explain the situation so you could get clear advice from a professional. But seriously, be upfront and direct that your inheritance isn't his spending money. Don't tell him when exactly you're getting the money or how much you're getting. And listen to all the other comments about keeping the account/place with the inheritance money separate, with no way for him to access stuff. He is so bad with money that it has led to you and your children being homeless 3 times, and once is too much. And if he argues or complains, don't hesitate to bring this up. Some people might say not to bring up the past, but this is related to your current dilemma and just hits home how incompetent he is with finances and how he absolutely cannot be trusted with them. And don't put his name on the house deed if you do spend some of the inheritance on buying a house. Or ever allow his kin to move in, which will absolutely be tried. Not the a-hole. Leading your family to homelessness 3 separate times. I'm sorry, what? How on earth are you even entertaining the idea of giving him any kind of access to a large amount of money? Looks to me like he has told you many times what he's going to do with that money. He's going to blow it, just like he's been doing. He's going to blow the money, your investment plans, and your kids' futures. Sorry, but I'd have divorced his butt ages ago. If you hand out my money to the point of making me homeless, there's no way in hell that trust could be earned back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for moving my money to a different account after my stepmother threatened me with taking them from me? 15 female here. Stepmother and I obviously don't get along. She's been my stepmother for 1.5 years. The money that I have was in a joint account, me and my dad. but stepmother had access to the debit card and PIN number. I earned this money myself, selling handcrafted items. I broke curfew a few days ago, and she suggested that she's considering whether to take 20% of my money out of the account as a fine for punishment. And every time this happens, she will take 20% more until nothing is left. I was very upset about her threat and decided that I should move my money before she takes it away. I logged in online and transferred all of it to my big brother's account last night. And the next day we went to open a joint bank account with my brother and we moved the money there. So she doesn't have access to it anymore. So upon learning what happened, my dad and stepmom are furious at me and my brother. Stepmom is focused on the fact that I've taken away her means of punishment, and my dad is upset that I didn't trust him enough to protect my money. He insists he wouldn't have allowed it. Stepmom has banned me from seeing my brother, which is meaningless as I don't accept her authority to do this, and my dad says he's hurt that I don't trust him, and as a result, he doesn't trust me anymore. Am I the a-hole for moving the money? Honestly, I completely agree with your actions here. Your stepmother threatened to steal your money from you, so you moved to protect it first. As to why you didn't trust your dad, well, why did she have access to the debit card and PIN for an account that wasn't hers? Not an a-hole. This is so important. Your dad broke your trust first by giving your stepmother access to the debit card and PIN. You didn't break trust. You prevented threatening theft. You literally moved your money out of the bank after the bank robbers told you they were going to go steal it. Not an a-hole. Your stepmom has wildly overstepped. And good on you for having the foresight to take preventive measures to protect your hard-earned money. Where was your dad when she first brought this up? Did he defend you? Especially since he disagrees with your stepmom, his issue should be with her for crossing the line, not with you for being smart about your money. He didn't defend me because he says I was wrong to break curfew, but he insists he wouldn't have allowed her to take my money. Then he should have spoken up when she made a threat and talked about an appropriate punishment for breaking curfew. Not the a-hole. It's your money. Maybe you'd trust your father more if he stepped up as a parent and told his wife that disciplining you for things like breaking curfew are his job, not hers. Exactly. Dad does not have Opie's back. What repercussions did she get for threatening Opie? Nothing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cover his portion of rent after I made a stupid purchase that was over his budget? I won't say the item he bought for confidential issues alone, and details will be changed to a hypothetical standpoint. We are both in our 30s, married for a long time. We split bills 50-50. He is super materialistic when it comes to a certain hobby. Think cars or expensive hobby like that. Well, he went out last week and dropped close to $600 on one single item, which meant he is now over budget by $300 and doesn't have his portion of rent covered. He asked that I cover it and I said absolutely not. He knew rent was coming up and he went over budget anyways. Now he will have to pick up extra hours to make up for his losses. The thing is, since he got his item, he has been rushing home as soon as possible to mess around with said item, so now he doesn't want to work more hours. None of this is my problem, in my opinion. He claims this is his dream item and has wanted one of these since he was a kid. He truly does gush over it like a teenager, but still, not my problem. He says I lack understanding and should help him out this one time because he never does this, and I shouldn't be mad at him for snagging an item he had been wanting for years, after I found it much cheaper than it usually goes for. Apparently, usually this thing costs almost $1,800. I still said no. Not my problem, not my fault, and certainly not my responsibility. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, sorry guys, and to include more details on his "he never does this" comment. This is not the first time he has done this, but it is the first time he's done it with this particular hobby. Prior to this, he has gone over budget multiple times while buying stuff for his other big hobby. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but honestly, he should be giving you his portion of the rent as soon as he gets paid, if that's how you handle your finances. It wasn't like he had an emergency. This was a planned and a necessary expense that caused him to go over budget. I mean, if it was something that he's genuinely wanted for years, and he found it for literally a third of the cost, I can kinda see why he couldn't resist. But it is his responsibility, and if all he has to do is pick up extra hours for the next 2 weeks, then that's on him. I mean, if the item is not worth a couple of weeks of overtime, then he should resell it. Not the a-hole. Yep, he waited years to get this. He could put in the overtime to be able to afford it. He could also have asked Opie about covering rent before he made a purchase. What if Opie had, wholly within budget, spent the rest of Opie's own discretionary money for the month? No two ways around it. He was really irresponsible about this, and continues to be by not picking up overtime to cover it. Not to be a hole, but I'm sure your landlord couldn't care less about how you budget as a couple. Landlord is going to want the rent. That's your immediate problem. Depending on your city, the strength of tenant protection laws, etc., being short on your rent 1 month can be your first step on the road to eviction. You don't want that, obviously. Your next problem is determining how to deal with a partner with so little respect for household finances. It's not just so little respect for household finances, but so little respect for her and her boundaries. He deliberately bought something which would cause him to be short on rent because he expected her to pay it without asking. Making decisions which affect your spouse without your spouse is never the way to go. If this had been a roommate and not a wife, would he have gone ahead and made this purchase? Probably not. He decided for her that she'd be okay with it, since they're married. Everyone sucks here. He's super irresponsible, but you really sound like a roommate more than a partner here. Well, that's how I'm treated. I ask for a date night and he can't even be bothered because he wants to play with his toys, but fully expects me to jump in and cover expenses when he overdoes it. I am a roommate that he is financially dependent on when he makes stupid choices, but I've tried to be more than that, multiple times. He doesn't even kiss me anymore. What are you getting out of this relationship other than a headache and debt? I'm sure isn't half the rent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for turning my friend's daughter against her family? I'm 38 female and have a daughter V, 13. I have a close friend, Charlie, who has a daughter Amanda, also 13, with his wife Olivia. I've known Charlie for nearly 20 years, since before he was with Olivia, and while she and I have never been close, I thought we had a deep abiding respect and warmth for one another. Our kids are very close, and Charlie and his family often visit us at our homes, and when we're near where they live, we see them. At the beginning of the summer, Charlie, Olivia, and Amanda, along with their other 2 sons, came to stay with my family. They were there for 2 weeks, but when it was time to go, both V and Amanda pleaded for Amanda to be allowed to extend her stay. My husband and I were fine with this, as was Charlie, but Olivia wasn't keen. Eventually, she was convinced by Charlie, and Amanda stayed with us until about a week before school started again. Since then, Charlie has mentioned a couple of times that Amanda has asked for different kinds of food that she tried while with us, and that she's asked for a couple of expensive items. She even asked if she could try horse riding, and Charlie has joked several times about me corrupting her, but it was definitely a joke. Then, 2 days ago, I received several walls of text from Olivia. She said that since staying with us, Amanda has become divorced from reality. Olivia says Amanda now wants things they can't afford, will not help around the house, and complains about everything, from their cars to her clothes. She said that I must have spoiled Amanda by giving her expensive gifts and encouraged a superficial lifestyle. I bought her one designer item as a souvenir on a day trip we took, as I was getting one for V and it seemed unfair for Amanda to get nothing. She also said Amanda has asked to join a gym and be taken to a dermatologist and accused me of making Amanda insecure, which I absolutely did not. V has seen a dermatologist and probably mentioned it to Amanda, but I doubt it was a nasty way. Finally, she said that I had completely alienated Amanda from their family, as nothing they do seems to be good enough now. And she keeps saying that she misses being with our family and wishes she'd been born as V's sister. Apparently, Amanda said she wants to come back to ours for her school's half-term break, and that I invited her, which I did in passing, if it was okay with her parents. Olivia said as a mother I should have known better than to spoil a child that's not mine, and that it must have been my intention to turn her against us. I was hurt by what she said and told Charlie. He says she's overreacting because most of what Amanda has been saying has been directed at her mother, and Olivia is just at her wit's end. He said he'll talk to her and that I shouldn't worry, but I'm beginning to wonder if I've done something wrong. A friend of mine said she understands why Olivia would feel slighted, but even if she overreacted, am I the a-hole? All of Amanda's new behaviors honestly sound like her just being a teenager. More than likely, it has nothing to do with her extended stay with your family. It sounds to me like Olivia is frustrated and needs someone to blame, not the a-hole. That's my take. 13-year-olds are going through some phase. I don't think you're an a-hole for treating your child's friend during vacation, but I was hurt by what she said and told Charlie. He says she's overreacting because most of what Amanda has been saying has been directed at her mother, and Olivia's just at her wit's end. It's very easy for the father who isn't receiving any of the negative backlash to say that the one who does is overreacting. Of course, he doesn't think it's an issue when he's not the one having to deal with it. And now he's off putting even more pressure on Olivia, that she's doing everything wrong, and her family's now ganging up on her even more after talking to you. It's not going to play in your favor, even if you did nothing wrong. Instead, tell Charlie to be more supportive of his wife and step up and say no to his daughter's requests on his own without being asked by his wife to pitch in, so Olivia doesn't have to be the evil parent all the time. And try to ask Olivia out for lunch or coffee so you can talk about this and apologize for inviting her daughter for an extended stay during school without even checking with them first. That was an overstep on your part. But even so, no a-holes here except maybe Charlie for blaming his wife for being overwhelmed with being a single parent to their daughter. And maybe Olivia if she keeps blaming you instead of wanting to work this out. I think this is a great answer. Opie doesn't have to be an official a-hole to be able to put herself in Olivia's shoes and have some compassion for the sticky position she's in. Her 13-year-old just had a cushy summer and is now being a 13-year-old about it. Olivia may have seen this coming and hoped to avoid it, but was overruled by her husband and daughter's pushiness about it. She may be unfairly taking it out on Opie, but maybe she just needs to feel like she has an ally.